All right, hello everyone. Before we make a formal start, I just wanted to play a quick video introducing Monash University. It goes for about 2 minutes, then I'll come back and we'll begin tonight's formalities. I'll just play the video now and I'll come back with you shortly.
Whatever your aspirations, Monash will get you there. Graduate with a qualification that's internationally recognised and leave with the knowledge and skills to turn everything you've learned into an exciting, rewarding career. With a range of scholarships and entry schemes, Monash is a university that doesn't focus on where you come from, but rather where you're going. At Monash, you'll have the opportunity to meet like-minded people from around the world and become part of a large, diverse student community. And with access to Monash's huge range of amenities, you'll get to experience the best of what campus life has to offer. From social and sporting clubs to special interest groups, there's something for everyone. At Monash, we'll teach you how to think, not what to think. Our academic staff are the best in their fields. They're committed to making sure students are empowered to be creative, engaged, responsible, ethically focused, and accomplished communicators. At Monash, you have the chance to participate in a range of international internships, study tours, and exchange programs. You'll be part of a huge multicultural student body, allowing you to immerse yourself in different cultures and become a global thinker. With campuses and teaching locations in Australia, Malaysia, China, India, and Italy, and exchange programs at over 100 partnering institutions in 30 countries around the world, your international opportunities are endless at Monash. Benefit from the extra choices that come with studying at Australia's largest university. With a huge range of double degrees and flexible electives to choose from, you'll be given the tools to build a degree that's unique to your needs. You'll leave Monash with a greater sense of purpose, a global outlook, and the skills and confidence to make a positive change to your own life and to the lives of those around you. When you choose Monash, you can be sure you'll be studying at one of the top universities in the world.
All right, so just before we make a start, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to the elders past and present. Before we get going, I just want to make sure everyone in the audience can hear me. So if you could just raise your hand using the raise hand function. Okay, beautiful. Everyone seems to be able to hear me. Wonderful. Now, I'd just like to extend a warm welcome to you all, whether you're in Melbourne, interstate or internationally. Thanks for joining us here tonight. My name is Benny. I'm from the domestic student recruitment team here at Monash University. Now, tonight's presentation will be a little bit different to our usual Monash Information Evening webinars, where we instead take a major focus on all things STEM. Now, when I mean STEM, we're talking about science, technology, engineering, and also mathematics at Monash. At Monash, learning STEM isn't about just focusing on, I guess, your chemistry, your physics, your mathematics. There's just so much more beyond what you expect. So joining me here tonight to present to you these options are some of our faculty representatives who will each present to you in detail their courses, what each offer in terms of, say, industry engagement, for example, study abroad, and a whole lot more. So some of our faculties that are present here tonight, I'll introduce to you now. We have Scott Knight from Art Design and Architecture. From the Monash Business School, we've got Catherine Cashmore. From the Faculty of Education, we've got Rebecca Fitzgerald. From the Faculty of Engineering, we have Helen O'Keefe. Suzanne Hilditch from the Faculty of IT. We have Rachel Ung from the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, as well as Michaela Gabay from the Faculty of Science. Now, of course, tonight is also a great opportunity for everyone at home to get all your questions answered. So to ask a question, use the Q&A function box just on your panel screen. Type the question you're asking and either relevant to one of our faculties or myself, someone will respond. I've also got my wonderful colleague, Sammy, also from the domestic student recruitment team here, will also be providing assistance with some of your questions as well. Now, just before we hear from our STEM discipline areas, a lot of you may or may not know who we are as a university or how we are positioned in Australia and the world. So I'm just going to spend just a couple of minutes talking about Monash University and who we are. So in terms of rankings, Monash is consistently ranked as one of the top universities in the world. So for some of you, this may not mean much, but when it comes to deciding what course is right for you, especially for those if you're in year 12 or in your final year of high school, then this could make a massive impact in your decision making. Our consistent ranking means that we attract students and staff from all over the world. So not only will you be learning with the best, you'll also be learning from the best as well. With over 330 alumni or 330,000 alumni in over 155 countries worldwide, we've got a massive international presence. We're also a member of the Group of 8. If you don't know what the Group of 8 is, it's an alliance of leading Australian universities recognised for their excellence in teaching, student outcomes and research. Group of 8 universities arguably produce graduates who find full-time employment sooner, begin on higher salaries, and are more likely to move into postgraduate studies than graduates from other Australian universities. Not only holistically as a university that we're highly ranked, but as you can see here, as I go across, we've got a number of our disciplines that reflect who we are in terms of our rankings. So accounting and finance, number 36 in the world according to QS rankings, and we also have a number of highly regarded disciplines as well. Now, in terms of campuses, a lot of you may not know where we are, but we are located in Melbourne, Australia, and we do have a number of different campuses in Melbourne. So this is a map here of Melbourne. We have a number of different campuses. We're basically pretty much located in the southeastern suburbs, just to give you an idea. And I'll just quickly, briefly go through these campuses with you now. We'll start off right here. This is the Melbourne CBD, home of law and international business. So we have a campus exclusively for law students, predominantly for postgraduate studies, and also one for international business in Collins Street. If we just duck over 5 to 10 minutes tram ride up the road, we've got the Parkville campus, which is home to the pharmacy and pharmaceutical sciences. Approximately has 1,500 students, staff and teachers, very short tram ride from the Melbourne CBD. And it's also recently undergone a $50 million redevelopment, which includes new world-class research labs and also teaching space. You'll hear from Rachel as well, who'll talk about all the fantastic opportunities from pharmacy and pharmaceutical sciences in a bit as well. If we just move down here to the Peninsula, this is our Peninsula campus. It specialises in a number of allied health courses. It approximately has 4,000 students and 300 academic staff. A number of unique facilities that are associated with our allied health courses, and we also house education and some and business administration as well down there, which Beck and Catherine will also elaborate further later on. Just moving here a bit more central, this is Caulfield, our second largest campus. As you can see there, it's a 20-minute train ride from Flinders Street. It's home to a number of different courses that we offer at Monash. So these include a wide range of Monash Business School, arts, IT, and it is home to, of course, art design and architecture, which Scott from the Faculty of Art Design and Architecture will elaborate further. What's also unique is that we have the Monash University Museum of Art, which is one of 3 contemporary galleries, which is actually located on the campus as well. And finally, to our main campus, the Clayton campus, which is home to 38,000 students and 8,000 academic staff. This is the main campus at Monash University. So chances are, if you do come to Monash, you're going to be based at this campus here. It's a massive campus, has its own postcode, considered its own suburb. So as a first year student, when it's safe to come on campus, of course, it is overwhelming, and you will need your GPS to get to classes and stuff. But what's really unique about the Clayton campus is the facilities that we hold here. So a quick example, we have the Australian Synchrotron, CSIRO, which is attached to the campus. We have the Monash University Accident Research Centre. We have the largest wind tunnel facility on campus as well. And what's also unique is that in 2022, the Victorian Heart Hospital will also be opening right attached to the campus as well. Other than that, we also have fantastic facilities such as a number of unique libraries, sporting facilities, whatever sport you like, we have on campus. And if you're looking to come and stay on campus, perhaps next year or the year after, we also have over 2,500 accommodation rooms as well. Now, chances are, if you do come to Monash, there is a chance that if you do a course, you will be based at, you might have subjects at different campuses, so Caulfield or Peninsula or Clayton. There is a shuttle bus which takes students to and from each campus during semester, but also off semester as well. Of course, when it's safe to come back on campus, this service will be available for all staff and students. All right. Just before we get right into our faculty reps who talk about their STEM areas, I just wanted to elaborate just a little bit further on the different ways that you can study at Monash. Now, we offer several types of degrees and several different pathway options that mean that you can be accepted into a Monash degree, even if you don't meet the required ATAR. All the STEM-focused faculties present tonight offer either comprehensive or specialist degrees, which are these top 2 here. And I'm now going to explain these a little further very briefly. So comprehensive degrees, these allow you to select from a wide range of subjects within a broad field of study. Now at Monash, we offer comprehensive courses in 5 broad fields, so arts, business, commerce, IT, and science. With comprehensive courses, you have the option to choose your majors immediately, or you can choose later on. For example, you can try a range of subjects in your first year at university, then narrow your focus in year 2, while still having the opportunity to try new things. So it's sort of like a try before you buy. So no pressure on committing to an actual major area of study. You can try out a couple of things and make a decision later on. In some comprehensive courses, you will be required to complete also a minor in your second subject as well. So it's great that if you're in year 12, if you don't know exactly what you want to do at university, you can take on a comprehensive degree just to start off easing into uni life, into your area of study, and then focus later on. Now, specialist degrees, on the other hand, these are courses that you know the interest that you want to study from day one. So if you have a specific career goal or a more specific field of study firmly in your sights, then this could be an option for you. Now, these courses are designed to ensure that you have the right combination of skills needed for your professional field. Some courses prepare you to practice in a regulated profession, such as architecture and engineering, which Helen and Scott will elaborate further on. Others, for example, our undergraduate courses in fine art and pharmaceutical science develop expertise relevant to a focused field of study that may lead to a range of professional positions within that field. What's important to know about specialist courses, that when you graduate, you'll graduate with a degree that is actually accredited with your profession. And that's really important. I can't stress how important that is. So She's a really good example. So let's say you do a Bachelor of Engineering, you graduate, you're actually accredited with Engineers Australia. With education, for example, you finish off with a Bachelor of Education Honours, you are accredited with the VIT, the Victorian Institute of Teaching. And same, and Suzanne can point this out later on, computer science, you're accredited with Australian Computer Society. This means that when you move into your field of study as a career, it's important to know that you'll be recognised as a recognised professional in your field. So that's really, really important to know as well. Also, what's really unique to Monash, and a lot of our STEM representatives can talk to you guys about as well, is that at Monash, we offer so many different combinations of double degrees. And that's a really unique component that we offer at Monash. Now, as someone who's in year 11 or year 12, we understand that you're ambitious, and at Monash, we offer a range of double degree combinations that you can choose from. In fact, I think we offer over 120 different combinations. So it's great in terms of choice and flexibility for you guys out there. Now, double degrees are great for someone like yourself. So picture yourself when you're doing your VTAC application or you're applying and you're ready to choose your courses. You might have a passion for environmental science, a passion for accounting, and would like to take those up in university. Well, essentially, you could study accounting within the Bachelor of Commerce, and you could do environmental science in the Bachelor of Science. Studying this individually, of course, would be 6 years, because Bachelor of Commerce is 3 years, Bachelor of Science is 3 years, and by doing a double degree, it's essentially 4 years, and you're compressing your degree, you're studying less electives, and you're focusing in your majors from day one. Hence why it's compressed into 4 years instead of 6 years. Now, there's a massive misconception that doing a double degree means more intensity. That's not the case. Doing a double degree is essentially the same as doing a single degree. You're doing the same number of subjects. It's just that you're at university a little bit longer to fulfill the second degree, of course. So what's going to happen now? We're going to get straight into our faculty representatives, and I'd like to introduce Scott Knight, who will kick off our STEM presentations, and he'll discuss how your interest in STEM may lie within art, design and architecture, as well as the fantastic experiences offered by the faculty. So I'll get Scott to just quickly share his screen. Scott, if you mind sharing your screen and take it away.
Beautiful. Look, awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. As Benny said, I'm Scott from the Faculty of Art, Design and Architecture. Basically, this little presentation is about helping you discover how you can take your first steps to becoming an artist, designer, or architecture. Not traditionally areas that you would think of around the STEM areas or fields, but basically as we go through the presentation, you'll sort of see and hear how we as artists, designers and architects use and connect with STEM, how we're moving into more untraditional or unexpected areas and careers that you can move into. And as Benny pointed out, Monash is all about choice and options. So with our double degrees and electives, you're able to pursue your interests and passions and supplement your studies in art, design and architecture with electives from all the STEM areas across the university, which is a pretty sweet deal. Good place to kick off. Benny already sort of started about our rankings, but within that field of art, design and architecture itself ranked 6 in Australia, and art and design top 10 and in Australia and top 50 worldwide. So pretty good foundations to be able to start a journey around a creative career. Basically at the center of everything we do, which is becoming really important, not just across the creative fields, but across those areas around STEM, is human-centered design. So at the center of all the products or services and all that we end up creating to assist and help our world and society. It's about putting our human needs or human-centered needs in the center of everything to help solve complex problems and also create innovative products and services. So with our area of fine art, we've got two sort of specializations. One's fine art, and that's around that drawing, ceramics, painting, sculpture. The other area is art history and curating. And that's around really developing a specialized knowledge in the art world and excellent communication skills. We all have double degrees in various different areas across arts, business, education, media and comms. So again, 3 years for the normal art design and architecture degrees, plus 1 more year to do a double degree. And with those electives, you get to choose from around any sort of faculty within Monash. Fine art is really about experimental studio learning. So you're in the studio and you're learning anything from drawing, painting, printmaking, the digital technologies, as well as traditional areas of learning, fine art, photography and video art making. Again, giving you that edge or a point of difference when you move into a career or a commercial area, having that fine art sort of like visual language behind you. Things like jewelry, sculpture, glass. Monash is one of the only universities to have a hot glass foundry in the country. And within that foundry is where you'll do molding and casting. So you're beginning to see things like traditional areas of like, say, jewelry, metal, working with clays, different kinds of materials are beginning now to stretch into those sort of STEM areas. Again, you're probably thinking of more contemporary sort of things, or outcomes with jewelry or different kinds of designs, but people use them to move into non-traditional areas within creative arts therapies, using them to work, having that foundation in fine art with electives, say in business or STEM, to then move into different areas around medtech or health or mobility. So really, really interesting course to study. With fine art, it's basically got a simple little requirements, which is a digital folio. And that's really 10 to 15 pieces of original work you might have compiled between year 10, 11 and 12 outside of secondary school. And also a 300-word written statement on why you want to study art and what your influences are. And no interview. So we've made it really easy and simplified the process. Those dates are in VTAC and it'll direct you to the Monash website to basically submit that digital folio. Art history and curation is really about, again, exploring and developing a specialized knowledge of the art world. These are our students on a 2-week traveling studio in Italy a couple of years back, basically taking in art and culture firsthand from some amazing tour guides. It's really about developing exhibition concept, working with curators, designers, art historians, and that moves across all fields, from events to event management to festivals, as well as the fact that cultural tourism is a really expanding area, as you're probably aware of, with sites, museums, galleries, all that kind of exploding around the world prior to COVID. And they do project that it will pick up quite quickly once we're back to the new normal, whatever that is. Part of art history and curating, there's also an internship. Again, you get to do it in any sort of gallery or related organization. That's Eva. She graduated about a year ago, and she did her curatorial internship in the Venice Biennale, and then also in Sydney at the Sydney Biennale, which is now where she is working. And Biennales is basically where artists, designers, architects all converge from around the world to find out what's happening, what they've been working on, and what the future holds in that particular industry. Architecture, what a great place. Monash is a really interesting area, university to study architecture at. And it's really looking at how do we as architects or designers help improve, change or better the world. So it's about what kind of impact you can have as an architect. Architecture moves across all scales. This is a really good example from one of our students on a project that she worked on. You can recognize the docklands and the city skyline done in a render by the architectural student. And this project's really about focusing on those pavilions right at the front down there. And it's about looking at how we engage the surrounding dockland community and also the CBD area, and move it in so that it becomes a more usable and practical and public space in that dockland kind of area. So as an architect, we move across scales and work across scales. If you have an interest or a passion in any of those areas that are listed just down there, from engineering to technology, construction, art, literature, people and place, architecture is a great foundation or a great program to study. And again, people can move directly into and pursuing a career as an architect, but a lot of people move into unexpected areas, and you can move across to film and television, work in areas of engineering and construction, and also work in the areas of like big data and science. And part of the foundation and training and the problem solving techniques and problem finding techniques that you'll learn in architecture serves really well across a lot of those STEM disciplines. How do you learn in architecture? It's a studio course. Part of it is all about being real world experiences and working on projects. This is an example of where our students went up to Gippsland a few years back. Part of the brief was basically to create a public installation that would also help with flood mitigation, because that lake there floods and it creeps out onto the road, which is just behind the trees. So they created a public space that also could be used to help with flood mitigation when the waters rise. Architecture goes across all scales, so not just from residential to commercial properties, but also interiors, large scale stadiums, those kind of things. So again, as an architect, you're beginning to work with people under many conditions. So part of how they work and learn is that studio environment. And through the studio, what you'll learn is, I should say studios are quite small, similar to classes that you have in secondary school. So anywhere from like 15 to 25 people. They're run by Monash academics, and also practicing architects from industry come in and work with you for a whole semester. So you might work on real projects, or you might work on simulated projects. And some of the past ones have been like, how do you colonize and create a society in an outer space planet somewhere like Mars or Jupiter? Or how do you create a subterranean environment? So you're beginning to see how they sort of link and connect with STEM related sort of areas. As an architect, working with engineers and scientists to be able to work and create and communicate those particular ideas. So studios basically is your class, and it models how an architectural firm or practice actually works. So that'll be you in class working away. You learn how to communicate, learn communication skills to be able to present your ideas confidently and be able to explain what's going on with your architectural drawings and ideas to the client you work with and present to your peers, to industry, and also to other practicing architects and academics. Part of the really big thing about architecture is the making. So you're making models in the studios, constructing, breaking, deconstructing, learning how to work with different kinds of materials so that you know when you move into building and work with engineers and scientists, or even move into those kind of realms, that you confidently can talk about those materials and structures. This is a really cool little sound shell that the students made on a traveling studio. So they did the work here. They went for a 2-week studio. I think it was actually 6-week studio tour overseas. That was in Poland, where they actually got to be on site at the gallery in Poland in Warsaw and create this sound shell exhibition, which is placed out the front of that particular museum. Architecture is a 3-year course. And if you want to pursue a degree or pursue a career as a registered architect, then you move into the 2-year masters. Is a registered profession in Australia. So you have to meet the Australian Institute of Architects requirements, which is also recognised in Malaysia and Singapore. Design at Monash, really different. It's not just teaching you the technical skills of design that you might think and know, but also teaches you design thinking and strategy to be able to serve and work with complex problems and come up with creative ideas. We offer areas oh, there's the bit about complex ideas. So what do designers do? This really kicks in around the sort of idea of STEM. So at the center of a lot of areas are art design and architects. And our specialty in the area of design really works with areas around medical tech, urbanism, transport design, behavioral change, social justice. So you can see how it seeps in to quite a lot of areas and helps underpin a lot of service and product development. This is one of our students who had interest in marine ecology and culture and developed 3D ceramic printed reefs that are now being deployed around the world. So his business is doing really well. This is our designers, industrial designers working with engineers who came up with at Monash and developed the bionic eye. What the designers came in and did was look at how they could create the apparatus that would encourage people to use and wear it. So we offer things like communication design, which is really developing a visual language and the skills to help you move into areas like advertising, branding, graphic communication. We offer industrial design, which is about product development and service design, anything from medical tech areas. So this is a soft toy created to help children with autism to feel comfortable and to calm them down. We offer things around areas of mobility and also things around product design. So this is about carrying blood and organs in a safe way. Spatial design really is looking around experiences. So it is a combination of interior, spatial design, architecture, and it's really around setting moods. So working at things like festivals and organizations, as well as creating spaces where people can, for health and beneficial purposes, such as this one here, which is like a cancer recovery center. Collaborative design is a combination of them all. So you combine communication design, industrial and spatial, to be able to come out as a collaborative designer, and you do that in your third year. So how it works, basically everyone enters into a collaborative, when you choose design, you all enter into collaborative design stream. And then, as you can see there, you're entering the light blue. And then when you're into second semester, you then choose your specialization being communication, spatial or industrial. All the blue and orange sections are basically all your studios. So you're pretty much almost half your studies or a bit more is in the studio, making, learning, doing. And the green is your sort of theory. All the design programs are recognised by the Design Institute of Australia, which is an accreditation that is recognised both here and overseas. So why Monash? Benny did a really good job of covering this, but basically that's our Caulfield campus, which is pretty awesome, bit of a creative hub. As he mentioned, a trio of galleries. The biggest thing is you're involved or join a creative community of practicing artists, designers and architects who then connect with other areas within Monash and other areas and industries such as scientists, engineers, mathematicians. You'll work on state-of-the-art equipment such as laser cutters, learn to deal with robotics, 3D printing, and engage with industry experts every day throughout your studies of your 3 years. So we don't do the traditional kind of work experience where it might be sort of a block 2 weeks. Basically part of your course, learning in studios, is you'll learn directly from practicing artists, designers or academics who'll get you to work on either, again, as I mentioned before, simulated projects, so things that are make-believe, or real-world projects that they might be working on in their particular sort of studios. And then mid-year and end of year, you get to showcase your work to industry and family and friends. And at the end of the year, we do a massive big Marta Now, which basically is a showcase, probably quite confidently say the largest sort of like exhibition space in Australia, when we turn all of our studios and workshops into a gallery. At the end of the day, all of this is about making sure that we give you the skills and capabilities to confidently move out into the world, into areas that are in demand. And having worked and connected with so many industry people throughout all your studies, most of the students gain employment or have employment prospects by the time that they're graduating. So design and architecture, no folio. I'll just quickly tell you why. basically it is because you'll learn everything you need to know in first year. You'll learn those foundation skills in drawing, sketching, computer-aided design applications like InDesign, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, all those kind of things in first year. What we're looking for is ideas and curiosity and people that have an interest in the world and maybe want to make things or improve things. So, or maybe you're just interested in that area of design and blending it or following your interests and passions aligned with STEM particular areas. Basically, just apply ATAR only or equivalent. And then once you're in first year, you'll learn all those particular skills. After that, get more information at Open Day, and I'll kick it on now to our next presenter. Thank you.
No worries, Scott. Thank you for presenting on art design and architecture. We're going to go straight into it, the next presentation, guys. So we have Catherine Cashmore from the Monash Business School. So if you could please share your screen, Catherine, and keep the questions coming in for everyone at home. Just pop them in, the questions answered, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. Take it away, Catherine.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Hopefully you can see my screen okay there. So I'm just going to cover a few of the STEM areas that are quite prominent in the business school. And I guess I would just start off by saying when you think of STEM, you might not necessarily think of business automatically, but STEM is increasingly becoming really important in the modern business world. So big data is evolving into a key driver in daily business processes and decision making. And there's a lot of fields where being able to analyse data effectively is almost on par with literacy and numeracy. So I'll touch on a few examples as we move on with the presentation. Just a brief overview. So the Monash Business School is one of the 1% of business schools globally that are triple accredited. So those little three bodies down there are the main triple accrediting bodies. And we're consistently assessed on our research and our teaching outcomes. So that's really a stamp of quality for our business school education. It means that our education matches those of the world's best business schools. And no matter where you go with your career, globally, your education will be recognised as being from a top tier business school. Okay, so here we have the full list of 10 courses we offer at Monash Business School. As Ben mentioned before, at Monash we have two kinds of degrees at Monash. So we have comprehensive degrees, so that's our business administration degree and our commerce degree. And then we've got 7 specialised degree options. So with the comprehensive degrees, great if you know that you're interested in business generally speaking, but might not be sure specifically where you want to go in business. Whereas the other options, so say Bachelor of Marketing, for instance, from day one, you're going to be doing marketing content. So it means that over the course of your degree, there's more depth of knowledge there. Now, a question we get quite a lot is commerce versus business. What's the difference? What should I do? And generally speaking, we say that commerce draws a lot more upon the analytical, mathematical, quantitative skill sets. So problem solving is pretty much inherent in all of the commerce areas of study. And there's a lot of looking at big data sets to find optimum decision makings for businesses. On the other hand, the Bachelor of Business draws more upon the people-orientated majors. So things like marketing, HR and management. So that's kind of the key differentiator. The other thing is the prerequisites. So for the commerce degree, you will need to have math methods as a minimum maths requirement, whereas our Bachelor of Business is any year 12 maths and business administration is year 11 mathematics. So there's a few different entry steps depending on what you've studied maths-wise. Okay, so I'm going to focus a little bit more on the Bachelor of Commerce, given STEM is the topic tonight. So if you are someone interested in business and you're interested in STEM, you're more likely, as I mentioned, going to be looking at the commerce area. So with our Bachelor of Commerce, it's run at the Clayton campus, ATAR looking about just over 90. Depending on if you're doing a double degree, it can go up a little bit more as well. And we have 10 different majors in the commerce degree. So these are the 10 majors we run. Now, in your first year of study, you pretty much will study elements from all of them. And that's kind of to help you decide what you want to do a bit later on. I'm going to focus on two areas in particular tonight that are quite involved with STEM, and that's business analytics and actuarial science, just to break down what they are and the kinds of careers they can lead to. Okay, so actuarial science. So when you think of actuarial science, think of risk. So an actuary is someone that works in a business that helps decipher how risky or how much risk is involved with any particular event. And in doing so, that allows them to design systems and processes to help manage risk or to prevent it entirely. Commonly, actuaries are employed in the insurance industry. So an example could be someone who decides how likely it might be if you have a car crash from when you just get your license, say you're 18, versus, you know, when you're 25 and you had a bit of driving experience under your belt. So obviously with a bit more experience, the risk of having a car crash goes down, and so does the cost of your insurance premium. Another example is superannuation. So an actuary would help to work out how much an average person would need superannuation-wise to retire comfortably. And they look at a variety of different factors such as living trends and life expectancy, inflation and so on. So in terms of how you can study actuarial science in the business school, there's two options. You can do the specialist degree Bachelor of Actuarial Science, or you can do actuarial studies as a major within the Bachelor of Commerce. I've put a little fun fact there at the bottom that did you know that a newly qualified actuary fellow can expect to earn $125,000 as a minimum. So if you are looking for, I guess, a return on investment of your degree, pardon the pun, but it does pay off. So as you advance in your career, that does rise. And senior actuaries can expect to earn $300,000 and more. So it's definitely a very lucrative industry. Not to say that it's easy, it can be high pressure, but certainly it is well salaried. Okay, so in terms of where actuaries actually work, I've got a little graph here from Actuaries Institute of Australia. You can see overwhelmingly insurance is the biggest employer of actuaries, followed by banking and superannuation. And there's just shy of only 3,000 actuaries across the whole of Australia. So it is a field of work that's in demand. Companies are always looking for the best actuaries. And it's also a profession that's on the skills shortage list for Australia. Okay, the next one I want to cover is business analytics. So I'm sure you've all heard big data is, you know, growing and growing, getting much bigger and really, really vital to lots of companies. So the main role of a business analyst is to extract information from a huge data set, but most importantly, to communicate findings. So often a business analyst will be the one communicating to people who might not even be technical themselves. So you can also be kind of the liaison behind all of the technical data and communicating that to stakeholders that might not have that background. So people like senior management and so on. So in terms of how you can study that at Monash, there's two options in the business school. You can do it as a major within the Bachelor of Commerce, Business Analytics, and we also have Business Analytics and Statistics in the Bachelor of Business. So the business option is slightly less technical. It has more of the emphasis on the end-to-end communication of insights. And it's also a profession growing in a lot of demand. So it's 20 to 30% growth in this area. So if it's an area that you're interested in, I definitely encourage you to consider it. Okay, so in terms of careers for business analysts, I've just got a list of the most prominent industries where our grads go into, but just to give you a few examples of some of these industries. So if you're working in the government, you could be looking at data to shape public opinion. If you're looking at marketing, you could be analysing website data, advertising and social media data. So if you're looking at social media, you could be deciding, you know, what kind of content is getting the most traction, when should we post it, what kind of audience should we target. In the sports field, you could be a sports analyst, and as we all know, there's a lot of data generated by sports. So the analysts could look to improve performance and teamwork and reducing things like injuries as well. So in the business school, we are all about practical exposure as well. We don't just want graduates that have theoretical knowledge, we really want graduates to apply that into real life settings. So that's why we have a capstone in all of our final year business degrees. That's really the opportunity to apply that. So there's a few examples on the screen here about what that entails. Usually it's an internship, it's study overseas, or working on a consulting project with fellow Monash team members. I've just got here a few examples of our global partners for our industry internships. So you have options of completing 20, 30 or 55-day placements. Now the business school does have a lot of existing arrangements with employers you can apply for, or you can also source your own internship. I think it's important to note as well that our work integrated learning team vets all of our partners quite thoroughly. So what you're actually doing here, they really make sure that you're not just getting coffee and doing dry cleaning. That the focus is always on really enhancing your business experience and to provide a really meaningful learning experience for you. And we do also hear from a lot of our students who do internships. Many of them actually end up getting their first job through the internship. And it also provides a lot of opportunities for things like mentoring, networking and so on. So I highly encourage you, no matter what university you go to or where you end up, internships are really important. So definitely look into those as much as you can. So obviously in a non-COVID world, we also love to send our students overseas. So we send, I think, just shy of 1,000 students overseas in the business school each year. I've just put a few examples on the screen of our study tours. So we have, I think it's about 23 of those all up. Now they're usually 2 to 3 weeks in duration and they typically focus on a common theme. So I've included the one to Montreal in there, that's on the topic of data science and AI. So we actually run that with the Faculty of IT and you'll be exposed to all kinds of company visits, seminars and workshops. So it's quite hands-on as well. The other overseas opportunities are to do semester exchange. We have over 100 partner universities. So it's pretty much up to you where you can go in terms of globally. So again, here I've just got a few examples, but there's plenty more on the website. So I definitely encourage you to jump online and check that out. Other than that, that's pretty much it from me. So if you have any more questions business related, please pop those in the Q&A and I'll do my best to respond to those. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Catherine. So next up, we have Rebecca from the Faculty of Education, who is going to share her presentation. And for those out there at home, if you ever thought of becoming a teacher, there isn't a better time. I believe there's currently a national teacher shortage. Demand is high. And Beck can tell you all about that. So take it away, Beck.
100%, Benny. Thank you. Yes, so maybe just to start with, would you mind people putting your hand up if you're considering becoming a teacher or you're interested in education, using that little raise hand button, just so I can get a gauge. Okay, yep. There's a few of you. Thank you, lovely. Okay, fantastic. So I guess the first thing I wanted to start with is the question that might be on some people's lips is, why is education a STEM career? Some of that answer is quite obvious. So obviously, for example, if you become a high school teacher, you study secondary education in your bachelor degree, then you have the option of choosing to focus on subjects like mathematics or general science or a specific science. So you can go into a STEM career and teach people STEM subjects in high school. At a primary school level, it's also pops out fairly obviously as well, because as a part of the primary school curriculum, you have various sciences and maths as part of the primary school education curriculum in Australia and around the world. You also, at a primary school level, get a really great chance to integrate STEM as a whole discipline. So talking about that real STEM, not just the 4 different areas separately, but really integrating science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, so that you're able to teach students about how to solve real world problems using elements from those different disciplines. So it's a really cool way that you can cover off a bunch of different curriculum areas in your primary school teaching. The other one that people might be thinking, how on earth can you integrate STEM into this, is early childhood education. early childhood education is not just playing with kids. It's not just childcare. There's actually a really, really great opportunity, again, to introduce those problem-solving qualities to children from a very, very young age. And we actually have some fantastically qualified and world-class and world-renowned researchers at Monash that are doing research projects on this very topic about how to integrate STEM education into early childhood education. So from a very, very young age. So STEM is ever present in education. Obviously, it's going to be less present if you decide to do secondary education and, you know, choose something like history and another sort of more humanities focused subject as your main areas. But there's definitely a lot of opportunities for an interest in STEM to take flight in education. So one of the great things about education, as Benny mentioned, is that there are some fantastic career prospects for education. It really is an in-demand space. Now the survey or the report that I've quoted in that first point in my slides was taken before the current situation with COVID, but education really is an in-demand area and has been for a very long time, and we're expecting that to continue. So it really is a great place to sort of stake your claim and build a career. It's highly skilled and it's highly regulated as well. And following on from that, because of the high skill involved, there's a very, very low chance of automation. We're not going to see, although it would be really cool, we're not going to see, you know, robot teachers anytime soon. So there's a really, really, I guess, low risk in terms of automation there. And in terms of Monash, we have these double degrees, obviously, and we also have what we call dual sector degrees or specializations too, which I will go into in a moment. But basically this means that you can combine two different levels of education in your studies, and therefore you're qualified to teach at two different levels of education. So you're broadening your career prospects and the number of kinds of jobs that you can apply for, which is always fantastic and makes you very desirable when a principal is looking to hire you. So moving on from that, our graduates specifically have some really, really great employment rates. So you can see it's around 85% of our students find full-time employment within 4 months of graduating. And when you just look at employment overall, so including part-time and maybe casual relief work as well, then it moves up to nearly 95% of graduates finding a job within 4 months of graduating, which is pretty outstanding when you think about what the job market can be like sometimes. And one of the reasons that we have these great job outcomes is our reputation and the partnerships we have and the research that we do. And in one of the earlier slides that Ben shared, Monash Education is ranked #1 in Australia currently and has actually been for the last few years. And we're in the top 15, we're number 12 in the world for teacher education. So you know if you choose Monash that you're choosing a high quality program for teacher education. Now at Monash, there are a few different ways that you can become a teacher. I know a lot of people ask me about the Master of Teaching. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that if you're interested in being a teacher, you don't have to wait, pardon me, until postgraduate. You can actually study a Bachelor of Education Honours and study for 4 years and graduate and register as a teacher. And you are just as qualified as a teacher as someone that's done a Master of Teaching. So that's your first way that you can do that. The second way is that you can actually study education as a double degree. So the great thing about education double degrees at Monash is they don't actually add an extra year, like Ben was talking about earlier when he mentioned doubles. So you can study a Bachelor of Education Honours and another degree at Monash, finish in 4 years and have those two qualifications and be qualified to go out and teach, register as a teacher. And the third way is, as I mentioned, you can study a Master of Teaching if you want to. The way that you would do that is you would study a different degree. So for example, a Bachelor of Science. And then after you finish your Bachelor of Science, then you would apply for a Master of Teaching and go on and study that. So it just takes a bit longer, but that is definitely an option if you're interested in doing that. I'm just going to focus on the Bachelor of Education Honours today because we don't have a super amount of time. There's a whole range of specialisations, as I said, and we do have those dual sector specialisations that I mentioned as well. So if you're interested in teaching, but you're not sure whether you want to teach primary school or secondary school, for example, you can actually combine them. And it's a really, really great option to, as I said, keep your options open. We also have sort of, I guess, more niche areas that you can look at. So we have inclusive education, which is a fantastic and up and coming area. So for students that still want to qualify as primary teachers and secondary teachers, but want to get a bit more in-depth analysis and skills and knowledge into how to work with students that have disabilities or maybe more challenges when it comes to learning. So inclusive education is a really good option if you're interested in that. We also have health and physical education as well as a more sort of, I guess, niche area. I do want to talk about double degrees though, because if you choose primary education or secondary education, then you can actually choose one of 5 double degrees to pair your education course with. So obviously a nice obvious one there for everyone tonight interested in STEM is a Bachelor of Science. So if you study a Bachelor of Education Honours and pair that with a Bachelor of Science, then you'll finish in 4 years and have those 2 qualifications. If you study primary education as a double degree, then your second degree doesn't really have much to do with your actual teaching if you then go on and become a teacher in your career. But if you study secondary education as a double degree, then the subjects that you choose or the majors that you choose in your second degree will actually directly influence the subjects that you'll be able to then go and teach in high schools. So for example, if you do a Bachelor of Science as your second degree in your double degree, then you'll be needing to choose 2 main areas within your Bachelor of Science to focus on, and those will correspond to subjects in high school. So you might come out at the end qualified as a biology and a physics teacher. So that's sort of how the double degrees work. A really, really important part of education, and I'm sure you'll see a common theme throughout most of our Monash degrees, is practical experience. So in an education degree, you have a minimum of 80 days of professional experience. So this is experience where you're actually going out into a school and teaching students. So you'll start with Monash in your first year. Your first placement will be in semester 2 of your first year, so you can get a taste of things before you sort of get settled into the rest of your degree. And after that, you'll have placements every single year. Most years you'll actually have 2 placements, 1 each semester. It's a really, really great way, spreading those placements across your full 4 years, of really being able to apply the knowledge and skills that you're learning as you go. So you can learn something in one of your classes at Monash, and then you can go out onto your placement at the end of the semester or before the next semester, and you can use that and apply it and change your methods and change your tactics and really see how that works in the classroom and how you can develop and grow as a teacher. It's really, really cool. And the great thing as well about this professional experience is, obviously, I feel like we're all giving the disclaimer of after COVID times. You can actually choose to go on a placement a little bit different. So most placements, Monash will actually find all of your placements for you. They'll organise everything for you. Most of those, they'll be around sort of the Melbourne area. If you don't want to stay around Melbourne, if you're interested in going on a rural or regional placement, we do have those sorts of options. So one of the pictures on the screen is of one of our students on the Basque Coast having a placement there. Well, you can also head overseas. So we actually currently have 8 different international professional experience countries that we have the option for students to go to. So places that students have gone to in the past and we're looking at for the future as well are places like Cook Islands, Italy, Switzerland, Vietnam, Japan, England. So you can see there's a really great range and some really, really great opportunities for students to go overseas for a few weeks, experience what teaching is like, not just in Australia, but in another culture, in another setting, and really get a sort of cultural immersion and also have a great time as well and have a great experience that you'll never forget. I'm going to stop right there because I think that's enough from me today, but please do feel free to pop any questions you have in the Q&A. And I also just want to flag as well that our faculty, Monash Education, we actually have an Inside Monash session that's happening tomorrow evening, which is a panel of current students and past students talking about all their different adventures that they've had in education. So if you want to know more, I'll pop the link into the chat for you and feel free to click on that and register. Thanks a lot.
Great, thanks so much, Beck. And next up, we've got Helen O'Keefe from the Faculty of Engineering. Now, for some of you out there, engineering can be quite overwhelming in terms of the choice that we have, but we make it easier at Monash University, and Helen will just take you right through that right now.
Thank you very much, Benny. Welcome everybody. So I'm just going to give you a little overview of engineering. Starting off with a bit about what engineers actually do. That's one of the questions that we're often asked. So engineering is really about using scientific discoveries, mathematics to design solutions that work for people. So solutions that are safe, that are ethical, and that are reliable. So whether that's to do with building better cities or more efficient ways of producing energy or finding better ways to deliver life-saving medicine into people's bodies, engineering is really about solving problems and improving all of our lives. So another question I often get asked is, do you need to be some kind of mathematical genius to do engineering? You certainly need to enjoy and be comfortable with maths and science to become an engineer, but engineers also really need to be creative, innovative, collaborative. They need to be problem solvers. They need to be interested in how things work. They need to like designing and building things as well. So you really do need to be quite a creative brain as well as quite a scientific brain to be a good engineer. So one of our wonderful senior academics loves to say that we need engineers to save the world, and in some ways he's kind of right. So what you see here is some of the grand challenges that engineering groups from around the world have got together and said these are the big challenges that are facing us for the 21st century. These are the challenges that you students as future engineers will be undertaking. So things like making solar energy more economical, reverse engineering the brain, so maybe being able to fix diseases such as Alzheimer's or cure people who've had brain injuries, making sure that people have access to clean water. So to that end, Monash is a research intensive university. We have our engineers who are working towards those goals as well as teaching students like yourselves. So their research not only benefits society, but it also really influences how and what you learn while you're studying with us. So I've got a couple of examples here. Professor Jasieniak, he's developing printable solar cells. So the solar cells can be incorporated in windows so that the glass on a building, like a skyscraper in the city, could actually generate the electricity for that building. Of course, one of the big things that we've got going on at the moment is COVID-19, and a lot of our engineers have been working on a range of different things for that. And the latest breakthrough, which just got published on Friday, I think, was about a new blood test that they have developed, which only takes 20 minutes, and you can see the result visible to the naked eye. So you'll see there, the one that has a little drop of blood at the bottom of the vial means that that person is healthy, and the sort of smudgy blood shows that those people have got COVID-19. So you can do a really quick investigation without having to go to a lab, which is really amazing. So our engineers really get up to such a broad range of really fantastic stuff. So what can you study with us? We have 10 engineering undergraduate specialisations that you can undertake, and I would urge anybody interested in engineering to go and have a look through our course guide, which I will actually post up onto this Q&A so that you can have a look. Each of those areas has an outline of what you study, what the career outcomes might be. But I just wanted to call out a couple while we're here tonight. Robotics and mechatronics engineering is one. That's new to us this year. It's the first time we've offered it. So if you're interested in robotics, you can do streams in AI and in automation in that. And I also wanted to call out resources engineering because we have got an information evening coming up on the 30th for anybody who's interested in resources. So resources covers mining, and it also covers off renewable energy for anybody who's interested in studying that. But the good news is that if you look at those 10 areas of study and think, oh, it's hard to make a decision, you don't need to make that decision in first year. We start off with a common first year that really gives you an opportunity to get a better idea of what engineering is all about, what engineers do, and gives you a little taste test of each of those 10 areas before you have to make your decision at the end of your first year. So our course is 4 years long. So at the end of 4 years, you are a fully qualified engineer. You don't need to do anything else beforehand. And then if you wanted to stay around for another year, in many cases, you can get a double degree or you can get a master's. So there's a few options there for what you can do. Here's a list of our double degree combinations. Lots of people here have spoken about them. Double degrees, very popular at Monash. And you can see there, we have about 45 double degrees and over 60% of our students undertake them. So you'll see from this little chart that not all areas of study can combine with all areas of engineering. So for example, if you wanted to do architectural design, you would have to do civil engineering. But then if you wanted to mix your engineering up with arts, you can do any of the areas of engineering along with an arts degree. We also have an accelerated pathway program. So people who are looking at wanting to do a master's in the long run can undertake this program. It's a high achiever program. You need about 95 to get into it, or to qualify to be considered for it. And it actually packages up the bachelor and master's degrees together. So something that's important to know as potential engineers is that you need to do continuous professional development as part of your course. So to be able to qualify, you need to do at least 420 hours or 12 weeks of engineering and business related activity. So at least half of that needs to be engineering related activities. So that might be work placements. At the moment, we've got students doing lots of online activities. The other half of it can be work that you do in another sphere. So you might have a part-time job at Kmart, you might coach a junior football team. So those things can be counted as well, because the skills that you learn from doing that sort of stuff, those skills like teamwork, leadership and communication are really important, along with developing your engineering technical skills and abilities. So one of the work placements that you can undertake is cooperative education program. So this is 3, 6 or 12-month paid work placements that you can undertake during your course. You can do more than one of these, and fantastic way for you to gain exposure to different industries, to really work out what area you might like to work in, what sort of company you might like to work for. Also gives our employers an opportunity to test you out and see whether they want to keep you on. And in many cases, they do keep students on either part-time or offer them jobs at the end of their course. We have a student experience team that actually helps you find these placements. They train you up. You do employability skills before you go, CV writing, interview skills, and all those sorts of things. So it really is a fantastic experience for you. For the real world. Other development opportunities that we've got are the Monash Industry Team Initiative. So this one is where a company will come to us with a problem that they want solved, and we gather students from engineering and other areas together. So you might have an engineering student, a design student, a business student, all together working on this problem to deliver back to the company. So it might be that they create an app, or it might be that they create a more efficient way for this company to do business. There's a whole lot of things that people can get involved with, usually over the summer holidays. Students will do that. We have an engineering leadership program, so lots of opportunities to attend seminars, interact with different industries, plan your career, go out and visit industries. So that runs over a couple of years of your engineering program. We also do encourage students to go overseas, like most of the other faculties. We've got about relationships with around 100 universities in 30 countries around the world. So usually we would have students going in all directions. We also have something called a summer research program. So for those of you who are interested in getting involved in engineering research, you can do that program over the summer. I'm going to skip the video, but I did want to talk about our teams and clubs, because I think one of the most fantastic things about Monash is the number of teams and clubs that you can get involved in. There are over 30 that you can be involved in over and above your studies. But what they provide to you is so valuable because they really give you an opportunity to transfer your classroom learning to practical projects. So you'll see here the Monash Motorsport team, they build cars from the ground up. They are a range of different engineers involved. So there'd be material engineers making the outside of the cars, there's electrical engineers doing the electronics, there's mechanical engineers doing the mechanics of the car. So you really all work together as a team and put your theoretical skills to practical tasks. The Monash Motorsport team are really successful. They generally would be going overseas. This year they go to Europe and the UK to compete. Unfortunately, of course, they can't go this year, but normally they would be doing that. So really fantastic opportunities to do something that you're interested in, to do something that builds your skills and knowledge and make friends and have a really great time. They're actually ranked #1 in the world for their combustion car, and last year they built an autonomous car. Now, some of our teams are not so much about competing, but about raising awareness and doing outreach, and precious plastics is one of those. So they're about repurposing plastic and teaching people about not wasting plastic. So you'll see up the top there, there's a little machine with 2 squares on it. They built that themselves, and then they recycle things like water bottles, margarine containers, ice cream containers, things like that, and they repurpose them into useful articles. So they make things like jewellery, they make artwork, they make pot planters. They've even made this fully functioning guitar here. So another question we often get asked is about women in engineering. So we have around 24% of women in our engineering courses at the moment. We actually had 25% women start this year. So they're about 1/4 of our population. There's also lots of support for girls once they come into our courses. So we've got female engineers Monash who are about supporting women and connecting them, and also RoboGals. So that's one of the teams that women can get involved in, which helps raise awareness of engineering for women. Got fantastic facilities here. You'll see down the bottom there, the 3D additive printing. That's one of our academics who was busily printing a 3D jet engine, which was pretty cool. The Monash wind tunnel, so people like our teams and clubs, like our motorsport, will use the wind tunnel to test their cars, and you can see there that we also have athletes who use it. But what we're really excited about at the moment is our Woodside building for technology and design. So this opened, it was open for 1 day before we sadly had to close down. This building is shared with the Faculty of IT, and this is one of the learning spaces in it. So we're really moving away from that traditional learning of sitting in a lecture and being spoken at. This room seats 360 people. You can see that it's collaborative learning, fantastic technology going on. So it's a really new way of learning that we are introducing. We've also just completed this fantastic makerspace. So if you do get involved in one of the teams or clubs, they have workshops. Some of them have workshops in here. So if you're working for motorsport, you would go in here and you work on your cars. There's also all sorts of kit and equipment for you for when you're doing your practical projects in your course that you can come in and work in here. Or if you want to collaborate with other people, we're really keen for people to innovate, to create startups, to be entrepreneurs. So all of that can happen in this space with all of this fantastic equipment. So a little bit about getting into our course. So the ATAR for the Bachelor of Engineering this year was 92.3. For the double degrees, it's 93 plus, depending on which combination double degree it is. Of course, you need English, maths methods or specialist, and chemistry or physics. There's a range of scholarships available, so university-wide scholarships, plus engineering has a number of scholarships as well, which you can access by applying through VTAC. And just a little image there of some of the companies that we work with. So some of these companies would be employing our graduates. Some of them would be employing our students to do their industry placements and co-op. So really with engineering, there are so many broad areas that you can end up in. We've got people who work in the film industry who operate drones for great big films. We've got people who, we had a guy who was working with NASA and was involved in building an arm for a space probe. We had a guy who did aerospace engineering and he ended up building submarines. We've got some ex-students who are now involved in making the big creatures for things like Walking with Dinosaurs, those arena spectaculars. So, you know, there's so many opportunities and so many broad range of areas that engineering students can go into. So I will leave it there. Please send your questions through and I'll answer as many as I can. And thanks very much for listening.
Great, thanks, Helen. So next we've got, for all those IT enthusiasts, we've got Suzanne Hilditch from the Faculty of IT. And not sure if you know at home, but Monash has a dedicated whole faculty just to teaching and learning IT. And I'll now invite Suzanne to tell you all about those fantastic offerings. Take it away, Suzanne.
Perfect. Thanks, Ben, very much. Yes, as Ben said, I'm Suzanne and I work in the Faculty of IT. And before I start talking, I'd like to just share a video with you to sort of set the scene of where an IT degree might take you. So it's something we say quite a lot in our faculty, but IT is truly everywhere. So that video sort of showed you some examples of where IT is being used today and where IT might be used in the future. So a number of the pieces of technology on display were demonstrating the use of AI, or artificial intelligence. And this is a term that you may be hearing quite a lot recently. It's a bit of a hot topic. But what is AI? It's building machines that think like human beings. And we use AI every day. So if you're on a website and something pops up asking you, like a chat box, that's often a machine you're talking to and not a human. And that's one example of a use of AI. You heard Catherine from business mention big data and explain how it's becoming more and more important. And data wrangling and data science, these are all terms that you're starting to hear quite a lot about, both in the news and in industry. So every time we interact with the internet or any sort of Wi-Fi enabled space, we are leaving a record about ourselves. And this is data that companies are desperately wanting to be able to utilize. So for example, commercial enterprises want to be able to extract that data and turn it into meaningful information that will either increase their profit margins or increase their market share. Governments may want to use this data and this information to keep us safe and healthy. A good example of that would be the COVID Safe app that many people have recently downloaded. So we're all impacted by IT in our everyday lives. So just thinking about your home environment, how many devices do you have that are connected? And by connected, I mean internet enabled in your house right now. So you personally might have a phone, a tablet, a laptop, maybe a fitness tracker, maybe a gaming console. Maybe you've got a brother or a sister or someone else in the house who has all these things also. Your TV is probably smart. You possibly have a virtual assistant like a Google Home or Alexa. And your parents might have a navigation system in their car. So as you can see, there's more and more devices that we are relying on that are connected. And there's some research out there that says by the end of this year, the average home will have 50 connected devices. Now, I personally don't have that many. I have done a count up. It's not quite there yet. But on a global point of view, they predict that number to hit about 50 billion. So why am I saying all this? Again, IT is everywhere. And it's safe to assume, therefore, there are going to be some interesting jobs available in IT across industries and markets. and employers are wanting graduates with these IT skills. So looking at the next slide, IT is embedded in everything we do, and that means there's the IT jobs that in every possible field you can imagine. So from law, we might choose to specialise in maybe cybercrime, or sports scientists who are starting to use artificial intelligence to monitor and improve athletic performance. So job prospects for those with an IT degree are very healthy and encouraging. And this slide shows some typical IT roles you find across various industries. But really what I'm wanting to highlight is the double-digit growth figures you see against most of them. And that's quite unusual to see in the job market. So this is Australian government figures, and they're predicting that the number of jobs available in the market in the next 5 years will be increasing between 10 and 30%. So moving on to the next slide, every year LinkedIn put out a report called the Emerging Jobs Report. And this report calls out what the 15 most popular jobs are going to be in the coming year. And for the past 2 years, of those 15 jobs, at least 10 of them had some sort of IT skill required. And this year the top job was artificial intelligence specialist, and last year it was data scientists. On the next slide, you can see that we're all motivated by different things, and if earning a healthy income is something that is helping drive your decision about what you might want to focus on in the future, IT is certainly a good area to consider. IT professionals are some of the highest paid individuals in Australia. And you can see here the average growth in salary between 2017 and 2018. So moving on, getting sort of more towards what we do here in the Faculty of IT. We have an ethos here in the IT faculty that IT should be used for social good. And if you do choose to come and study with us, you'll see this reflected across all aspects within the faculty. So this slide is showing some of the research areas that the faculty has spent time on, and this research has an element of social good or improving society. So one example would be the top left image there, which is about some research that was conducted to help improve social skills in young adults with autism by mixing psychological training with a virtual reality environment, and participants with lower social cognition played games that train them to understand how other people might think and feel. So if I look at the next slide, we've also had one of our researchers look into what contributes to car accidents and discovered that a significant portion of crashes are actually due to driver distraction. So she collects signals, that's her there on the left, she collects signals from drivers who are distracted in this research exercise, and then is designing new machine learning algorithms so that as a driver, you are getting sent alerts in real time, and that helps make the driving situation safer. So if I move on, what is it like to actually study in the IT faculty at Monash? So we're well known as a research institution, and that research underpins all our teachings and methodologies and our practices. We have the largest group of data scientists, researchers in the Australasian region. And these are academics that you will be learning from should you choose to study computer science, as an example. All of our undergraduate degrees are accredited by the Australian Computer Society, which I think Ben referred to earlier. And that means that the degrees are designed with industry in mind, making you job ready at the conclusion of your degree. We're the only dedicated faculty of IT in the prestigious group of 8. And that just means that all our staff are dedicated to IT. They look, think, sleep, eat IT. And we're not sharing with other disciplines. All of our bachelor degrees include a work integrated learning element, which I understand has been a bit of a hot topic tonight. And you would have the opportunity to participate in either an industry experience project in your final year, and that's where you work in teams with people from various majors within the IT faculty. You engage an industry client who we find for you, and you develop an IT solution to a problem that that client actually has, using the skills that you will have developed throughout the course of your degree. and that's often in the form of an app or a website. We also have a program called Industry-Based Learning, and I'll actually let one of our students talk to us about that through the video on the previous slide.
This is my 4th month here at PwC now, and it's incredible to hear my managers say how they can see me improve, that they really trusted me with the work. So clearly they saw that my degree was from Monash, they know that that's a good school to go to, that you'll learn well there, and because of that they were able to say, you know what, you can be in charge of this. My degree with Monash has actually helped me so much in my placement with PwC now. The lecturers they really had your back and they were really trying to help you do your best. You get a really hands-on experience, so everything that you're doing is related to the real world. So the programs that you're using, you will be using in the workplace. That it's not just learning from books. It's not just, writing stuff down on paper, finishing your exam and then you're done. It's stuff that you'll actually be using. Coming out into the workplace and doing this IBL placement with Monash has actually been incredible. I've even been able to secure a job out of my placement here with PwC. I think you should definitely do the IBL placement if you have the opportunity to. It's been the best decision that I've made in terms of my degree, and possibly one of the best decisions I've made in terms of my life. I now have a graduate position lined up in such a great company, and it's all because I was able to do this 6-month placement. I'm Akansha Kapoor, and I chose IT at Monash.
So as you said, you are integrated into a team and you're working on real projects, and you don't actually come to university during that time at all. You're fully integrated into the workforce. You can see we have a number of well-known large international companies that we work with, and a couple of people have asked, but we actually find the placement for you. So you go through a couple of hurdles to get into the program. It's a competitive unit to get into, and then we would find a placement for you with one of our partner organisations. So we'll skip over the next slide if we can, because Helen's already given us quite a good rundown on the new building. So in our faculty, we have 3 degrees, the Bachelor of Information Technology, and this is going to appeal to students who are interested in IT, but maybe either a little unsure of exactly what area of IT you might like to focus on, or you have a specific interest in one of those 5 majors that I've listed there. For example, you might be interested in gaming or cybercrime or something like that. And this degree teaches you how to apply IT in our environment. It's a 3-year degree, and you need to have completed general methods or specialist maths in at least year 11. Excuse me. The 3-year Bachelor of Computer Science has a slightly higher maths requirement, which is year 12 methods or specialists. And computer science will appeal if you like maths and problem solving. This course teaches you the fundamentals of how computers work through algorithms and programming. So if you're interested in AI or machine learning, big data, this is the course that you might want to look into. There is also a 4-year version of that course, which includes a research element, if that's something that's interesting to you, and that's quite a small cohort of students that are in that particular unit. I've also called out the Bachelor of Software Engineering here. It is an engineering degree, but it's heavily but the IT department is heavily involved in the teaching of this particular major, and as a software engineering student you are also eligible for the IBL program that we saw the video about. So a number of people have mentioned the fact that you can do electives. These are some of the minors you might choose to do in the bachelor, in the IT faculty. If you wish to do a single degree, you'd focus on 1 major and maybe 2 minors as one way to complement what you're learning in your major. You can also pick up electives from other faculties, as the other presenters have mentioned. And if I move on to the next slide, similar to what Helen was showing you, a number of different double degree options within the Faculty of IT. So, and again, same situation, depending on which major area you want to focus on, depends on what you can do your combinations with. And finally, I'd highly recommend anyone, whatever you end up doing, joining a club or society when you come to university. These are some of the clubs that are more focused on the IT students and the IT side of things. But an example here is the MEGA student club. Anyone can join it. Their focus is gaming, and all they do is play games. But they're a great support network for you, and I highly encourage you to join a club if you do come to university. And so that's the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions in the Q&A, and good luck with the rest of your studies. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. We're going to move straight into Rachel Lung from the Faculty of Pharmacy. So take it away, Rachel.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel from Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. I'm just going to share my screen and try and keep things short because I know we're running a little bit over time. So let's go. Okay, I hope you can all see that. So as I said, Rachel from Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. And for those of you who are really interested in science, but also a career in healthcare as well, hopefully I can convince some of you to consider one of our programs. We have two distinct programs, Pharmacy and Pharm Sci, and I spend a lot of my life answering what the difference between them is. So that's where I'm going to start. Sorry, that's me again. Alrighty. So let's start with pharmacy and pharmacists. What do pharmacists do? Pharmacists are medicines experts, and their work really revolves around patient care. They're the people who help us take the medicines, and they can do so in sort of like a one-on-one health setting, in community pharmacies and hospital pharmacies, but they're also the people that decide from a population's perspective how medicines are used and accessed and distributed within the community so that we're using them safely and according to the regulations of our healthcare system. Medication mismanagement is actually a really, really big problem, and many people end up in hospital because they take the wrong medicines for the wrong reasons or the wrong combinations of medicines, and it's the pharmacists who can really prevent this on the front line and also in the more complex cases. So that's pharmacy and pharmacists. Let's move on to pharmaceutical science now. Who are they and what do they do? A little bit of a less visible profession, but certainly more so now that we're in a time of COVID-19. Pharmaceutical scientists are indeed the people who are helping us create a vaccine, working towards the creation of a vaccine. They're people who advance the science of new and existing medicines. So many diseases are emerging, some diseases are evolving, which means that they've got a lot of work to do. But what I think is really great about Pharm Sci is that we like to say it's a focused job-ready science degree. So it will give you all the same skills that you'll gain from a science degree, but it also gives you a focus. And if your interest isn't necessarily in medicines manufacturing or making medicines, that's cool too, because when you think about the term pharmaceuticals and how broad it is, it encompasses things like cosmetics and nutraceuticals, so like health and nutrition products. And it also involves chemical formulation, which means that you can basically go on and work in any industry with that at its core. So things like specialist product industries, such as paint and protective coatings, require pharmaceutical scientists, and that's where some of our graduates work. Okay, so, sorry, I'm just having a little bit of trouble seeing myself, and I don't quite like that, so I'm going to try and get that back up on my screen. Nope, I'm not very tech savvy. I'm just going to keep going. That's cool. So why, now that you know a little bit about the two options, why study Pharm or Pharm Sci with us? I would say that we have a great reputation, not only locally as Monash in Australia, but worldwide as well. Possibly the ranking we're most proud of is that we're number 2 in the world for pharmacy and pharmacology, according to the 2020 QS World Rankings by subject, and only Oxford University actually ranks higher. And whilst we're really known for our research in pharmacy and pharmacology, we also have a really big commitment to science education, and we do a lot of research in how to teach science in ways that are engaging, will ensure you're employable, and ensure that you have skills for the future. So these are just some of the pillars of how we teach. Our degrees are highly experiential. Pharmacy students spend a lot of time in the lab. Pharmacy students spend a lot of time on placement, and they also undertake a paid internship. We also have a great skills coaching program. We're in small groups of about 10 students with a practitioner and an academic. You'll learn skills that are relevant to your profession, making you highly employable, ready for the future, and also, I guess, allowing you to transform personally as an individual as well. Now, Benny went through the Monash campuses before, and he mentioned that we are located at the Monash Parkville campus, a little bit different to all of Monash's other campuses. We're located in Melbourne's inner north, highly accessible by public transport, and most uniquely about us, we are single purpose. We only teach the 2 disciplines at our campus, but it means that we have a really strong community, and that everyone comes into our campus already speaking the same language, which is the language of chemistry. We're located as well as part of Melbourne's medical and biotech precinct, a really innovative cluster of educational organisations, industry, and other research organisations that are all focused on advancing biomedical science in Melbourne for the greater good of our community and the world. All right, I'm just going to whiz through our 2 programs now in a little bit more depth. So starting with pharmacy, in Australia, no matter where you study, it will take you 5 years to register as a pharmacist. Everywhere else apart from us will make you study for 4 years, you'll gain a bachelor's degree, and then you'll do a paid internship in the next year, making it 5 years. And that paid internship is required for registration. What we decided to do, because we wanted to be the leaders in pharmacy education, was to take that time frame and turn it into a Bachelor of Pharmacy, Master of Pharmacy. So you're gaining a higher qualification within the same time, and we're recognising now that we haven't had anyone fully graduate from the program yet because it's quite new, but we are recognising due to our research that students are graduating and working and out on placement with a higher capability than in our older program. Having this dual qualification in such a short amount of time as well really sort of sets you apart from all other Australian graduates studying the profession. This is a little course map of our pharmacy program. You'll see that professional practice starts from day 1. We really want to embed that professional identity in you as early as we can. You'll also learn things like how medicine works and how the body works, and how medicines can affect the body and treat the disease within the body. From year 2, you'll learn about particular diseases that are Australian and global healthcare priorities, and your placements start from year 3. Year 4 is a whole year of placement, and year 5 is a paid internship. Just going to skip that slide for now, just in the interests of time, but basically we have a number of pathways into our pharmacy program. If you don't quite make the ATAR or prerequisites, if that is something you think you're interested in, definitely ask me about it in the chat. And just to wrap up pharmacy, last but not least, we have really great international opportunities for our students now. Most of these are really new, which is really exciting, but we work with our preferred partners at the University of North Carolina and also University College London to give you either a research or a practical placement in those countries if you qualify for one. We also have exchange to Monash, Malaysia, who also teach our pharmacy program. Okay, moving on to pharmaceutical science. So again, I guess there's never been a better time to study pharm sci. We all see a purpose for it now, and just a little bit explaining as to what it actually is. So from the time, as we all know, from the time when the need for medicine arises, so when a new disease emerges, to when it becomes a product on a shelf in a pharmacy, say, and can be distributed to the community. It's a bit of a journey, a bit of a time frame. And basically there are three main stages of this journey, and it's called, in its totality, the drug discovery pipeline. So the first stage in this pipeline is called drug discovery biology. And that's all about how disease works in the body and how we can use medicines to target that disease. The second stage is called medicinal chemistry, and it's all about how medicines, it's all about making the medicines. So medicines are basically just combinations of chemicals. It's all about fiddling around with those chemical combinations in order to create effects within the body that can treat us and cure us. And then last but not least is formulation science. So formulation scientists are the people who, they're sort of really on the product end. They decide how medicines are delivered into the body. So medicines come in all shapes and forms. They can be tablets, liquids, vaccines, external aids, and it's a formulation scientist that decides what is going to be the best mode of delivery for that medicine according to the type of disease and the environment the medicine needs to be delivered in. So we have a number of course options with our BPharm Sci. We've got a standard 3-year degree, Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science. The first 2 years are common, and in those first 2 years, you'll learn all about the 3 aspects of the drug discovery pipeline. Then what will happen is, based on your interests, you'll get to make an informed decision about what you focus on in your 3rd year. After that, you can choose to go into further research, or we have so many graduates that also enter the workforce after 3 years. Here's a little map of our course options: the 3-year degree, 4-year degree with an advanced honours research year. That's if you want to undertake an independent research project and makes you eligible for a PhD. And we also have 1 double degree with our friends in engineering. It's very unique. It basically qualifies you as an engineer with a background in pharmaceutical science. All right, that's it from me. But please, if you have any further questions, put them in the chat. And my email is pharmacy.marketing@monash.edu if you have any follow-up questions to this presentation. I'll stop sharing now, and thanks. Back to you, Benny.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for that nice overview of pharmaceutical sciences. Now, last but not least, I'm just going to invite Michaela Gabay from the Faculty of Science to share her screen. Take it away, Michaela.
Hi, everyone. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to double check that that was right. Yeah, cool, excellent. Obviously save the best for last because we are talking about science, which is very exciting. I am Michaela, I'm from the Faculty of Science. I'm going to whiz through my slides very quickly because I know we're very over time. So I will take you through essentially what you can experience as a Monash Science student and in all of the courses that we offer at Monash Science. So I did have a cool video that I was going to play for you, but because of time, I've just cut it out. So I'm going to send you a link to the video, which is a campus tour video. And essentially, in that video, it's great because you can see all the cool buildings that you unfortunately can't see at the moment because of the COVID-19 situation. And then you can go and explore on campus, which hopefully will be open back up to us very soon, or sooner than we think. So at Monash, you can study a whole range of different science majors. You can study mathematics, biology subjects, biomedical science subjects, chemistry, physics, immunology, a whole bunch of other different things. And these are all the sort of areas of study that you can study with us. There's a whole range of different maths and computational science and various other different things which you can do. As you can see, you don't have to choose your science subject or your science major in the first year. For those of you who are not quite sure what a major is 8 subjects generally that come under an umbrella of a certain area. So for example, you might do 8 subjects of biochemistry, or you might do 8 subjects of earth science, and that will become your major or your specialisation within your course. At Monash, in the science degree, you can even study a double major, so you can pair 2 different areas together. And the way it works in first year is you pick 2 first year science subjects, So you might go, okay, I'm going to do a biology sequence and I might do a chemistry sequence. So I'll do biology 1011, biology 1022, chemistry 101, chemistry 1022, and that will set you up for all of these different areas that you can see underneath each of these sort of themes of science. So we've got obviously biology, chemistry, earth, atmosphere, and environment. So that includes all of our geology subjects. But you can also study a mathematics sequence, a physics sequence, a computational science sequence, or a psychology sequence, which will set you up for all of those different majors. So if you do decide to change your mind, you can pick an area that you're interested in, and then that will hopefully lead you on to the science that you want to study later on. And if you do change your mind, it's all good. It's very flexible. We can also accommodate that. We have several different science courses. We have the Bachelor of Science, which is our flagship degree. It has the most amount of flexibility. And you can pair this with a double degree. So if you are interested in studying science, but still want to study something that's not science related, like music or law or engineering, you can also pair that in a double degree combination with these ones on the right-hand side there. We have two selective degrees, which is a Bachelor of Science Advanced Research Honours and the Bachelor of Science Advanced Global Challenges. And both of these courses involve an honours year, which is a 4th year of study after you finish your 3 years of your undergrad per se. We also have 2 new courses for 2020, which is the Bachelor of Applied Data Science and its big brother, the Bachelor of Applied Data Science Advanced Honours. So they are great for students who are looking at maths and IT and combining them together and applying all of that knowledge in a specific way, which I'll touch on later in my very quick presentation. So as I mentioned, the Bachelor of Science, it is very flexible. There's you can do a double major in it if you want to. You can combine with a double degree. You can study up to 2 majors. And all of the prerequisites will be in the link that I send down the bottom. But essentially, you'll need a science and English to get into the Bachelor of Science. If you haven't done the traditional sciences of physics and chemistry and biology, just say you've done psychology or you've done environmental science or you've done some kind of engineering subject or whatever, you can still use that as a prerequisite to get into the Bachelor of Science. There's a whole list of our science subjects that we do accept in the link that I'm going to put down the bottom there. You can also go into an optional honours year, which is the 4th year, if you are thinking about going on to do further study after that. And there's also a subject adjustment bonus available, which means that we basically reward you for doing extra science subjects. So if you've got 4 science subjects in your VCE repertoire, you'll get a subject adjustment bonus for each of those subjects, and that might make it a little bit easier to get in. Once again, more information about that subject adjustment bonus is available in the link that I'm going to chat you below. This is the Bachelor of Science Advanced Research Honours. As you can see, it's a little bit more prescriptive. There's less room for electives because you have to do a double major. The ATAR is a little bit higher as well, and you have to do maths methods to get into this one. So keep an eye on that and the prerequisites that are in the link below. You can do research training from your 2nd year, and this is perfect for people who are looking to go into research as it goes directly into a PhD. As in your 4th year, you'll have to do a research project and an honours thesis, which is a very long research essay, essentially. We've also got the Bachelor of Science Advanced Global Challenges Honours. Now, this is one of our most popular courses. It's more of a sort of course that combines science with entrepreneurship and leadership, and encourages its students to go out into the world and really change the world using the science that they've learned in their degree. And it's really, really perfect for students who really want to make a difference, who are looking at starting a startup or going into a venture. And as you can see, you've got your science major here, you've got electives as well that you can choose from, and then you've got your impact through science subjects, which run all the way through the degree, which essentially make you have a look at the world through science and try and change the world and do different projects through those units there. There's also an internship that's mandatory in your 3rd year, and that's often an overseas internship. So if you are interested in overseas travel, that will be there. And then you do a 4th year, which is a 4th year of putting together a social enterprise and solving that problem through science that you've been looking at earlier on. So it's a pretty great degree. If you are interested in this one or the Research Advanced Honours, we do have a webinar coming up, which is with the course directors, and that is next Tuesday, the 28th of July. And it's with the course directors. You'll be able to talk to students about these 2 courses as well. And it'll be a really great opportunity to ask all of your questions about global challenges and also advanced research. And also this big brother here, which is the Applied Data Science Advanced Honours. So as you can see, there's a lot of different types of units in here. There's a data challenges studio-based units, which is working in small groups to solve real-world problems through data challenges. There's a whole bunch of IT units, which is where you learn to code and where you learn how to learn all the technical skills you'll need to be a data scientist. There's lots of maths units because they naturally go hand in hand. So if you really love maths, there's a lot of maths involved in this. And then there's also applied studies where you take all of this information and you go and apply it to, say, for example, you might go and look at public health and look at public health outcomes and look at the data involved in like how many people have diabetes and how many people, you know, did various things and then their diabetes went away, that sort of stuff. So it's a very vague example, but that's what it kind of is. And then this one also ends in a 4th-year industry research project as well. It's not just about studying on campus, but it's also about, you know, having a great time and making a network of students or meeting a network of students and making your sort of peer group in your 1st and 2nd and 3rd year of uni. These are just some of our students that we have in our student ambassador program, and that you can see that they're doing a range of different subjects and they're doing a range of majors and they're doing a range of different courses as well. And they're a very diverse bunch. They're very lovely. There's somebody studying different things. They're all doing very, very well, and they're all doing very, very cool stuff. And they all love science, which is the best part. You can also do things like peer-assisted study sessions in your 1st year. So if you're interested in, you know, taking them as an older student, or if you need a bit of help with your 1st year subjects, you can do that. There's a peer mentoring program, which is all online this year. They're all doing things like cooking at home, and they're all doing trivia, and it's actually quite fun. There's a Future Leaders program, which usually involves a camp and a few projects throughout the year to sort of really develop leadership skills for the new group of brilliant future leaders in science coming through. There is definitely internship opportunities. We strongly encourage our students to take an internship in their 3rd year. And there's a subject called Science Internship. It's really an innovative title, but basically it means that students go and find their own internship, or if they can't find one, we will help them try and find an internship. We also have a lot of connections with industry. So if you are interested in, you know, coming along to Science Industry Week, it's basically a week where there's a day of maths, chemistry, physics, etc. And we invite representatives to come and speak to our students about potential careers in those areas. And they can network with other students and also with potential employers. And there have been quite a few students who have managed to get a job out of that. So that's pretty exciting. And there's also lots of clubs and societies that you can participate in while you're at Monash. And possibly the best thing about science is it's super hands-on, and there's heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of field trips and study abroad and exchange opportunities. These are some of our international ones, which will be coming back hopefully in the coming years. One of our most popular ones is the tropical terrestrial biology, which is in Borneo, Indonesia, where a group of students go out to the tropical ecosystem in the rainforest, and they have a look at it all, and they take lots of samples, and they do a big project on that sort of stuff. We've sent people to Heron Island where the turtles are, and there's all sorts of other very cool international opportunities that you can have a look at, and also exchange. And there's also closer to home, if we might not be able to travel in the next year or so, there's a range of different field trips and study tours, both in Victoria and also interstate. So, and we also have some really great on-campus classrooms, like the Jock Marshall Reserve. There's an EAE rock garden, which reflects the topography of Victorian rocks. So they've got samples from all over Victoria. And there's a whole range of different other things that you can do on campus that are hands-on, that are not just going out onto a field trip. You can still get a lot of that experience at the campus. All right, so if anybody has any questions, I'm going to chat some links below. Please ask me some questions in the Q&A, and then there's also a SciFuture students email address here. So if you'd like to send me an email and organise, if you've got any questions that we need to follow up, I'm more than welcome. I'm more than happy to answer your questions at any point in time. Excellent, thanks Benny.
Great, thanks, Michaela. Just before we wrap up, thanks so much to the reps who have given their time and to give you insight into what STEM is all about at Monash. Just before we wrap up, I'd just like to mention that, just bring my screen here, we do have Open Day coming up, which will be delivered virtually, of course, from Saturday the 29th to Monday the 31st of August. Just type in Monash Open Day in Google. The first link would come up and you can find out all the details there. Thanks so much to everyone who has tuned in. You can keep in touch with every thing that we've, all things at Monash through our social media, but also through our link just there, monash.edu/U12 Hub, has all the fantastic resources which we've spoken about tonight. Now, again, thanks so much for joining in. Hope to see you soon at Monash. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep smiling, everyone. Ciao.